And this is where the water starts. This is the Ross Barnett Reservoir, and this structure is the water intake for the City of Jackson's O.B. Curtis water treatment plant. Water flows out of the structure there at the Barnett Reservoir in two 60-inch pipes and flows down under this roadway, this spillway, and through those woods where you see the clinic. Next step in the process, when it comes out of the reservoir, it goes through these streams to make sure all the small particles, shells, and other things come out of the water first. The workhorses at the front of the plant are the raw water pumps. These pumps pull the water in from the reservoir and put it into the rest of the treatment process. From the raw water pumps where you just were, the water flows through some pipes and tanks and comes over here to where chemical is added and mixed. These mixers mix in coagulants. It's a aluminum chlorohydrate and a little bit of polymer to make the small particles in the water stick together and become heavier and ultimately settle out. The next step is where flocculation paddles mix that water slowly as you're letting it settle down in these three basins. Finally, we allow the water to settle. These are sedimentation basins. This long basin, the water's flowing through it very slowly and allowing those heavier particles that have been made by the aluminum chlorohydrate, the polymer, and the small particles in the water to settle out. At the end of the basin, there are these troughs. Clean water, just under the surface, flows into the trough where it'll be flowing over to the filters. Clean water that came out of the sedimentation basins through those troughs flows over here to the filters. These are deep sand filters, some other media in there. Water settles through and it captures all the rest of the particles in the water that were formed and anything else that's in the water at that point. Clean water, after it's been filtered, is stored in some large tanks underground here called clear wells. Here at O.B. Curtis, there's two 5 million gallon clear wells storing the finished water before we pump it to our customers. The workhorses at the back of the plant are again large pumps. These pumps, called high service pumps, are used to push the water into the distribution system and get it to the homes and businesses that use our water. Water's tested constantly here at the O.B. Curtis lab, where scientists are working to make sure that the water is safe every day, every hour. The O.B. Curtis plant is unique in that it has a conventional treatment process and it has a membrane treatment process. The conventional treatment process and the membrane process both start there at the raw water pumps. From there, the conventional process flows down through a series of tanks, ultimately a filter, and then into the clear well after the water's finished. On the membrane process, the water flows into this large building. There's not a lot to see. The membrane process, which you really can't see from above, is underneath these mixers and air equipment. Water's pushed through fine membranes to capture all the impurities, and then the clean water comes through and out of the membranes. Here is the membrane cassette, part of a membrane. You can see that it's just, these don't even look like they're straws. They're very, very tiny. And it's a series of these. Basically, a lot of these, water's pushed through at high pressure, comes into the top, it's pushed through these membranes, and then once it's through the membrane, it's clean. Then there's a process that continues to clear the membranes out so they don't end up fouled up. So it's a constant process of pushing water through and then clearing water out, and cleaning the membranes out. Computerized, highly sophisticated, and very effective.